Uh, okay, entire screen. Share. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, folks. Good evening. Welcome to the CEG C-Level Connect series, program number 23. This is a rescheduled program from last week. So today is Saturday, June the 3rd, 2023, 10 minutes past 8 o'clock. So a few guidelines for the benefit of people who might be joining for the first time. Please stay muted during the fireside chat session. We don't want any disturbance in the audio from other people. Please turn off your video for now, except for the speaker and the host. I would like others to turn off your video. During the middle of the program, I will ask you to turn on your video again to take a screenshot of all the participants. So for now, turn off the video. And when I make the request, please turn on your video at that time. This entire session is recorded, and the recording of this session will be available in our public YouTube channel, CG Connect. All the previous sessions have been uploaded, so you can watch those programs at your leisure. During the session, if you have any questions, you can use the Slido program. I will just talk about the Slido program really quick in the next few slides. We'll introduce Slido, and you can ask your questions via Slido. In addition to asking questions in Slido, there will be periodic live polls in Slido that I'm posting as a host. Please participate in the poll. It will be multiple choice responses that you can say, and I'll be asking for feedback on the session, a few other questions. And the second part of the program will be a question and answer. You can, as I said, your questions can be entered in Slido anytime during the program. During the Q&A session, I will go through the questions, and if your name is called, we would like ask you to unmute, open your video, and ask the questions directly yourself to the speaker. So today's session, the guest speaker is Dr. Rajeshwari Krishnamurthy, CEG 1992 Mechanical Engineering. She's currently the Senior Associate Professor of Marketing at Great Lakes Institute of Management, and she has a unique mixture of corporate experience and academic experience. That will be interesting to see how she transitioned from one to the other. Also, she is author of several books and works with students as well as alumni and corporates. So it'll be interesting to know how she works with all those different stakeholders. I'll be the host. Jaitesh is my co-host. He's absent today. I think he's busy putting his program together for a big live show very soon. And Partha is our tech support who will help me with all the recording and the technical aspects of this program. So today's program, you have to join via Slido. Go to any browser and type slido.com in the address box, and then once you get Slido, you can type in the number 1548750. Slido can be opened in any device, laptop, desktop, iPad, any tablet, mobile phone, Android, iPhone, etc. All that. So when you join Slido, just type in 1548750. You'll be able to get to the Slido session. The session will look like this. You'll have two tabs, a Q&A tab and a polls tab. In the Q&A tab, you can type your question anytime. And then in the polls tab, you can respond whenever a poll is pushed. And during the session, I'll tell you when I'm pushing a question. Right now, there is first question already there in the polls tab, asking for where you are calling from. So you can just enter that information for our purposes. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and stop presenting. And welcome Rajeshwari. Rajeshwari, welcome to the program. Thanks for taking the time to come. Apologies
Yes.
for the rescheduling because last week you had
No
to
problem.
compete with Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and I think it's not a very fair comparison to compete with Dhoni. Plus, a lot of us also wanted to watch the game as
Yeah.
well. Thank you for joining the program. What we want to do the first part, Rajeshwari, is that just go through your journey from the time you left CEG to where you are now. Interestingly, some of my speakers even want to start before CEG actually. They think that there are some things they want to convey. So if you have anything to say about your time, even before CEG, you're welcome. This could be in any format. You could talk about your professional journey, a personal journey, anything that you feel you can share with the audience. The audience that you see right now are all mostly alumni, but the audience who watch the program and recording comprises of students, faculty, alumni, etc. So you're actually addressing all of them, even though they are not live available now. So you can think of it as addressing all of them as part of your presentation. And you can talk about significant learnings. The purpose of this section of the program is for you to share your learning and your experiences that will benefit other alumni and students. and any anecdotes, any achievements. It's completely your show. The format is all yours, and the platform is all yours. So what I'll do is that around 8:30, 8:35 p.m., I will interrupt to say that we need to go on to the next part of the program, because some of my guests take a lot longer than time allocated to tell the story, and I don't interrupt them generally because the story is interesting and educational. Then we don't want to interrupt them, but I just give them a heads up that by another 18, 19 minutes time we'll give you to tell your story, and then we go to the Q&A after that. Okay, so with that, over to you, Rajeshwari. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Vish, and really honored to be addressing this August audience here. CEG is where it all started. So special thanks to Vish for reconnecting me with all the alumni folks, faculty, and students. Though of course I have been in touch with the faculty, alumni, my own department people, so on and so forth. But this kind of a forum is totally an honor. So what I will do today is I will quickly, tell you a little bit about my journey and focus longer on the learnings and what we can maybe look at possible avenues to do work together and stuff like that. I think that will be interesting. So I'm a Chennai person. I did my schooling at DAV Gopalapuram, and I came to CEG in 1988. I passed out of CEG from the printing department in 1992 and went to IIM Ahmedabad the same year. And once I finished my MBA from IIM Ahmedabad, I joined the corporate world and I worked for 15 years in various organizations, including Hindustan Lever, Kevin Care, Nippon Paint, etc. So my area has been largely sales and marketing. So I've been a sales and marketing manager professional through my corporate career. So somewhere towards the end of my corporate career, the technology bug bit me. So I said that I'm doing too much of FMCG work. So why don't I try my hand at technology? So I joined the startup called Novatium Ericsson, which was starting cloud computing in India. This was way back in 2007, right? So while my FMCG stint saw me launching various category new products, including liquor. The Blender's Pride Indian liquor brand was launched by me, uh, and the Brook Bond A1 Vitamin T was launched by me. Nippon Paint India was launched by me, right? So these were some new products I've been involved with. I was also involved with the Spins Talcum and Fairwear Fairness Cream. Those are all from Kevin Care. So I'm mentioning these because these are some popular household names that come to your mind. So, after a stint of 15 years in sales and marketing and launching cloud computing in India, now that was a very interesting experience because we worked with the government of India to use their infra at MTNL and BSNL to see how to provide this cloud service to the masses, to the Indian masses. So we had to liaise with, I think, Minister A.L. Raja was the IT minister, if I'm not mistaken, at that point of time. So right from private sector jumping on to working with the government was a exhilarating experience to say the least. So at the end of 15 years, I began to feel that my learning is stagnating a bit. Also, at that time, I had gotten married, and I had a son who was just about 5 or 6 years old at that point of time. My job was taking me places, but I was also spending less and less time at home. So, in my last stint as the head of whatever sales and marketing at Novatim Ericsson, I was traveling some 12-15 days a month, and I was not really spending time with my son as much as I would have liked to. So it began to slowly dawn on me that the choice is clear in front of me. Do I want to do justice to the role of a mother, or do I want to just go ahead with my corporate career? So I think I kind of dwelt on that question longer and deeper, and I came to the conclusion that the subsequent 10, 12 years of my son was really precious. I had to help him make something of his life, while I could take a backseat in my corporate career, and maybe even come back. I was only in my mid 30s at that point of time, so I said I could probably come back. So I took a break from corporate in 2009 without figuring out what I really wanted to do with myself. So about a year I spent traveling all over India to understand what do people do once you spend like 15 years in corporate, and then you move around, you want to explore other careers, what are the other options. So that led me to meeting about 15 people across India who had transitioned into various careers, such as politics, entrepreneur, NGO sector, academic, so on and so forth. In fact, one of my interviews for the book happened with Dr. Ramalingam Raju, who was the then Dean of Anna University, Dindivanam, right? So this was in 2009. And I think that was a game changer for me. The interview that I had with him and the hours of interaction that we had struck a chord with me. And he had worked in railways for 22 years, and at 42 he went and did his PhD, and then he had entered the academics at some 48. So it was very inspiring to meet his journey. So I said, I mean, and he's one of the things he said was academics is really a continuation of where you leave off in corporate. It's not like a completely different career. You can dwell on your learnings, you can share your learnings with the students, so on and so forth. So that gave me some clarity. And in 2010, I went to IIT Madras, which was close to my home in Adyar, and I met the chair professor marketing, and I told him about myself, and I asked him if I could take some guest lectures. So he very graciously agreed, and I started teaching at IIT Madras, and a couple of courses the feedback was good. And then he himself suggested that since you are amidst a career transition and the teaching feedback seems to be good, why don't you consider academics as your career? And in which case you have to do a PhD, because no good college in India will consider you for a full-time faculty unless you do a PhD. So that led me to enroll into a PhD program in 2010. And in the middle of 2014-15, I finished my PhD. During those 3-4 years, I also did a lot of visiting faculty stints at various IIMs in the country, IIMs and XLRA. So 2014-15, after my PhD, I joined XLRA as a full-time faculty in marketing. And 2015 to 17, I was there at XLRA. Then some personal happenings took place. My father passed away. My family was in Chennai. My son was getting into ninth and 10th. My mother was a Parkinson's patient. So I realized that it's increasingly becoming inconvenient for my family if I stay out of Chennai. So I decided to quit XLRA and come back to Chennai in 2017. So that is like 6 years ago, I came back to Chennai. So since then, I've been a full-time faculty at Great Lakes Institute of Management, and I'm in the marketing and department. So this is like broadly my journey. So what I thought is I will spend some time talking about how has the shift been between corporate and academics. So that is one part I want to talk about, because I'm sure many of you here are very experienced and seasoned, and the teaching is something that many of us feel very passionate about, and it's one of the ways to really give back to the younger generation. I think people who are knowledgeable and experienced, when they share what they've been through, the students enjoy it a lot. And in all my courses, for example, I invite a practitioner, expert practitioner, who's a part of my course lectures. So I'll talk a little bit about corporate versus academics. How is it? And the second part of my discussion, I'll talk about things which I really, really enjoy doing. Not that I don't enjoy being an academic, but publishing. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to publish 3 books, and I've also been fortunate enough to start a Center for Women's Leadership at Great Lakes. So these two are things that I will talk about. So, corporate versus academics. So this is a decision that was it was not proactive, or it was not something that I had thought through before, or I had considered earlier on in my career, but it just happened circumstantially. But having said that, I think there are a lot of advantages for people who want to get into teaching from corporate. One is very clearly the students really enjoy your industry experience, right? I mean, they love to hear examples of success and failures. So, a person who's got a corporate stint or an industry stint automatically connects with students much better. And I'm saying this out of my exposure to faculty at IITs and IIMs. While I think it is great to be research oriented, and I love research too, but I think the candid sharing of experience of your industry stints simply makes you a better teacher. So that's one clear advantage when you move into academics from corporate, right? The other advantage is you are largely, your energy levels are pretty high. Corporate, you're used to a certain way of working. You are, in a corporate, you're used to working in teams. You're used to taking initiative. You're used to being result oriented. All those come in really handy at academics. And at academics, there aren't too many people, I think, in many places with a lot of self-driven initiative, or who may have that decision making ability that a corporate drills into you, etc. So I benefited immensely out of those traits, because all my stints as a corporate professional right from Hindustan Lever was very high on energy and initiative taking, so on and so forth. So you tremendously gain from that front also when you move from corporate to academics, very clearly. However, there are some downsides. One is, in the Indian context, the academia pays you far less than what corporate pays, right? And you have to be prepared for that. So there is a lifestyle drop that you need to be prepared for. And you also need to, therefore, understand that the traveling and the socializing and all is far, far less in the Indian academic context, or in any academic context for that matter, compared to corporate, right? Academics is also largely a self-driven kind of a work. So you interact mostly with students, and you're doing research in your own area. So you're pretty much, sitting in front of the screen, reading up stuff, writing. Unlike corporate, where you are constantly maybe moving in teams and having meetings, those things are far less in academia. It's really, you spend most of your time either in the classroom or in your office, very few meetings, etc. So if you're that kind of a person who does not mind this shift, then then this could be for you. That's the second thing. The third thing is, you really need to love your subject in academics, right? I mean, I'm sure we can say that about corporate too, but in academics, what happens is you have to dwell deeply into a particular topic, and you need to be able to, come up with original questions and think about how to solve them, network with thought leaders in that area across the world, be able to express your thoughts very fearlessly. So you really need to identify a particular domain that you love so much that you want to spend the rest of your life studying or talking about that. So that is something corporate does not necessarily require you to do. You could shift industries, you could shift even, job profiles, you could shift maybe domains. So that's really not a big problem. But in academia, you need that kind of a depth if you want to make a mark or work towards becoming an expert in a particular area, right? So these are some, clear differences between academic and corporate. Whether finally academic suits one or not, well, I really think it depends on your nature. So after having spent 15 years in corporate, for me the transition was very natural, because I had gotten to a point in corporate where I actually wanted to spend a longer time dwelling on issues, talking about things more deeply, and trying to solve problems rather than having a strong action bias. See, corporate people tend to have a very strong action bias, unlike maybe academics who spend more time thinking and writing, etc. So I wanted to anyway get into the mode of researching and writing and reading. So it came very naturally to me, academia. And I've been really enjoying myself, especially the student interaction makes me relive my corporate days. So, and the other part of my academics was about me being a woman and how do you balance the multiple roles. Now, in corporate, I struggled. In fact, if you remember, I mentioned that right in the beginning, that one of the motivations for me to even move from corporate was the long working hours and the late evening calls and informal meetings, which I could not be a part of because I wanted to spend time with family. No, academics that way is far more flexible. I mean, you really are not expected to be in the institute, at least the good ones I'm saying, for all 5 days a week. You need to be here only when there are classes, which can be scheduled as per your convenience. You can do research out of your home. So I think academic gives you a certain kind of flexibility, which really suits a woman's multitasking requirement at home. She plays multiple roles, so I think that way it's really fantastic. So it's worked out very well for me from that point of view also, because my son is now finished 12th and he's gone to college. So I'm in a good space now where I feel I've done my best in terms of being with him when he needed me most, till 12th standard. And now I'm on to my own career. So that is really about academic and corporate. The other couple of things that I would like to mention is the freedom that you get in academics. Because while your primary so-called KRAs could be teaching and research, depending on your initiative taking ability, you can really come up with new ideas. So one of the things that we've done at Great Lakes is to set up a center for women's leadership, which I'm driving. And the goal of this center is to uh, see how to help women succeed at work. So women, I'm sure all of you know, we play multiple tracks. There is a spouse track, there is a daughter track, mother-in-law track. So in all this, the career track really goes missing, right? And research even talks about something called a motherhood penalty, where for every year of break that she takes in order to go through her maternity leave, the research says there is a 17% salary drop that every woman goes through. So these are realities. And while the comeback strategy of the women, many of them are not very clear. Neither the corporates nor these women on break are very clear on how to go about this process, which is what led me to launch this program called Encore under Center of Women Leadership. Encore stands for enabling career opportunities and returnship through education. I've just put it in the chat box there. Enabling career opportunities and returnship through education. So what we've done under this is we've launched a program in digital marketing for women who are on a break. And when they go through this 4-month program, they get an assured job interview opportunity with Accenture and Mindtree. So it's an end-to-end, a closing of the loop we've done. We've got some amazing responses from women across India. Even from abroad, we've got many calls saying if they can enroll, so on and so forth. So, I mean, this is born out of the challenges that I went through myself in my 15 years of corporate career in sales and marketing. In fact, there were places where there were no separate women toilets. There were places where I've typically been the only woman in the entire group discussing stuff, whether it's in technology, paints industry, which is very masculine, or in my sales stint where I've traveled for like 15 hours a day in a car. Uh, so I mean, I think that from the ground level up, I've faced some challenges, which I feel can be addressed through this initiative, Encore as well as Center for Women Leadership. So we have a lot of plans on the anvil, and I've already started reaching out to some mentors, both men and women, who can mentor these women who are going to be a part of this program. So that's something that gives me a lot of meaning at my work at corporate. I'm so in academics. And educational institutions also have to play their part in correcting this gender disparity at work. And we have to really see what we can do to get women back at work, right? So that is a bit on corporate and academics. So quickly I'll go on to the other hat I wear, which is the author's hat. So I've been fortunate to publish 3 books. The first one was called My Life My Choice. I brought it here so I could show it to you. I don't know if you're able to see it. It's called My Life My Choice. It was published by Macmillan, and the book is about the journey that I underwent before shifting into academics. So this is that 15 years of a corporate life. After that, I uh, interviewed 15 people across India and put that into a book. And this covers many people who have taken that leap into venturing into a new career in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, etc. So it outlines the triggers and barriers of anybody who's evaluating a midlife career change, right? So I've also ended the book with talking about a few points on what are the things you probably need to do when you are thinking of a career transition. Maybe if I get a chance during the Q&A, I'll talk about that. So that was my first book. The second book was pretty much my it's a B school reference textbook called New Product Development and FMCG Perspective. This book I wrote based on my PhD thesis at IIT Madras. My thesis was in the topic of new product development in FMCG because that's where I spent bulk of my career time. So I thought it was a very logical progression that I, do when I started my thesis. This is used as a B school reference textbooks in many B schools in the country, including IIM Ranchi, XLRA, IIM Indore, and even now at Great Lakes. The third book I wrote was The New Plan A, right? So, The New Plan A, the name is a little intriguing. This was written after I joined academics, right? So, the idea was normally we look at Plan B as an alternative to Plan A, but in my case, I'm enjoying academics so much that I think that my plan B has become my plan A in some ways. The level of enjoyment and my, comfort that I feel. And this is written from the point of view of what I mentioned earlier: corporate versus academics. How is the shift? What are the dynamics? So on and so forth. Right. So these are some books that I've written. Maybe I'll also spend a couple of minutes talking about. When do you think you should? I'm sure many of us here like to be an author, and you like to publish, and you're very good at what you do, and you really want to see how to capture it all in the print medium. So, a couple of things that work for me is: one is, if anything catches your attention and you want to learn more about it, I think it's just time to start penning it down in one place, like a journal or a Word document or something. And as it grows in volume, you can think of translating that into a book, right? You don't have to start with the idea of I want to publish a book, but it's more a question of gathering your thoughts in one place, and then at the right time actually thinking of translating that into a book. Now, the second question is, then how do I get a publisher? Now, there is no straight answer to this, but in my case, the Macmillan Publishing House is someone that I wrote to with my theme of my life, my choice. And the editor there showed a lot of interest, and we got talking, and we kind of developed the idea further, and we took it forward. I had also contacted Jaiko Publishing, who used to publish the Robin Sharma series, right? So they had also shown a lot of interest. So the other two books were Notion Publishing, which are self-published, which is also a very good idea, especially if you don't want the editorial team to tamper with your content, and if you want to publish it in your timelines. I think self-publishing through Notion is a very good idea. So getting publisher is not so difficult these days. I published my first book in 2011, so that is like 12 years ago, and it was a little difficult at that point of time. But today, I think there are so many options. There's even an Amazon publishing house and West End. There are many options today. So getting a publisher should not be a problem. The only thing is you just need to be very clear and wary about who will do the marketing and distribution and promotion of the book. So if any of you is interested in knowing more about book publishing, we could even take it offline, and we could talk more about it. So that's really what my journey in a nutshell. So I'm open to questions now, and I'll also share maybe deeper learnings as we answer the questions, because I'm conscious we are at 8:41 p.m. already, Vish.
Yeah, thank you, Rajeshwari. Very good. Actually, I'm interested in several things you said. The
Yeah.
encore or encore, how do you say it?
Encore.
Encore. That
Yeah.
encore program could be something that we need to talk more in CEG, because there are a lot of women in CEG who are going through, who have gone through the same experience you have.
Yeah.
There is also a separate women in CEG group. I don't know if you're aware of that. There
Yeah,
is a
I'm
women.
aware of it, but yeah. Yeah.
There is a active group of people who are talking about issues that pertain to women. But beyond that group is relatively small. But there are a lot of others who are also in the same boat. We need to,
Right.
if you can give me some gist of what that program does. Actually, I want to publish it because I think
Oh,
that will
sure.
be an excellent resource for people who are going through this particular
Yes, I
challenge.
will do that. Yeah.
Because I think that having companies participate in that and giving them the
Yes.
training, having companies take the ownership of giving them jobs after that is
Yeah.
quite an interesting program. It's not only for CG women, any women I would think.
Right.
So if you are willing, we can work together to create some thing, even some this thing about the event marketing about that particular
Oh, that
program.
will be fantastic. Yeah, sure.
because I know people in our own families who are highly qualified, who go through the same challenge as well.
Yeah.
And while it is people want to do everything, sometimes everything is not possible.
Yeah.
So they had to make priority calls, etc. All that.
Yes.
I want my daughters to listen to you too, because both my daughters are in the US, and
Right.
one of them is married. One of them, older one, is a doctor, and the second one is works for Google. And the older one is married. The younger one is getting married this year. So
Okay.
they're going to be facing similar
Right.
questions in the next few years.
Sure.
That's one. First thing is encore. I think it's also important to talk to this in CG also. I think when
Yeah.
these people
Sure.
are graduating,
Yeah.
I don't know if you know, the demographics of CG is very different now than what it was in the 90s. Today
Okay.
in CG, we have nearly 50% women.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, we have 50% girls and boys in CEG as a whole. In some departments, it's actually more women than men actually.
Okay.
In computer science and IT, I think we have more women than men in the classes. But in general, if you look at the overall intake of about 1,200 plus people, we have more than 600 women in the class, in the college. So
Wow.
a lot of them need. Second thing is, there is also a girls only club in CEG called Akriti.
Okay.
This is a forum for girls, run by girls, by the girls, and they generally look for people to come and talk to them about issues that would be very relevant for girls as well. So I think maybe I'll ask the Akriti team to organize a session for the CEG girl students, because a lot of them may not have thought about this now, but will have to think about it. So I'm trying to see if we can organize a session for you with the Akriti team,
That'll be lovely.
so
Sure.
you can go and talk to them about your experiences, how you were able to progress in career being a woman, and the challenges, like things you're talking about, not having enough restrooms. I heard that one before as well. It's not particularly different in the US either, unfortunately. My team, when I was running the team in the US, I had a close to 150% team, and only four people are women initially. Later on, I think we grew to more than 50% women, but initially those four were finding completely, outranked and outplayed, and they can't say anything at all. So I understand the challenge they go through. So we should do that in the college to get the students also educated about that and how to deal with that. So I have thoughts, definitely we can connect on that one. The
Sure.
second thing is on the book publishing.
Yeah.
um, yeah, this is also another area which I think a lot of people have good ideas to contribute. And unlike the past where you had to look for publishers and think, now you can do self-publishing. Your experience in doing self-publishing also be useful, for people, both in the college as well as alumni. So we also run, in addition to the CEG C-Level Connect program, another program we run off of the same platform is called CEG Field Insights. The
Field
field
insights.
insight
Okay.
is, what we do is we pick people who have experience in any one domain. So in your case, it will be book writing would be a domain.
Mm.
What does it mean to write a book? What does it mean to publish a book? How do you do that? I mean, this is an area which I'm sure people will be interested in knowing as well.
Sure.
So,
Absolutely.
so we do this field insights. We do on various topics, like we do it on cryptocurrency, we do it on blockchain, we do it on artificial intelligence, we do it on
Right.
electric vehicles. We find the topic that is very relevant and very topical, and
Yeah.
find experts in that area and ask them to talk about it. So, about four months ago, we had a person talk about ESG. ESG was a big name, so that person, and all these people are talking about CG alumni. We
Mm.
find people who are alumni or experts in the field to come and give a program. This field insights happens once every other month.
Okay.
So book publishing, I don't think we have anyone who can talk about that. So I'm sure
Okay.
you would be a great asset to talk to us
Lovely.
about
Yeah.
book
Sure.
publishing.
Happy to. Yeah.
So the second thing. So those are two things I had. The question I had for you, which questions a lot of students ask all the time, is that when they graduate from college, they have this decision to make. Whether to go to work or for higher studies.
Right.
And then when you say go to work, they should go to work in a startup or do your own startup, or should you go
Okay.
to a company? And the studies will be study in India versus study in the US, and
Okay.
then study engineering versus study management. So these are the questions that people face.
All
I
the clarity they want immediately.
uh, so so I get this question because I interact with the students a lot. I get these questions regularly from them, and I try my best to answer them with my experience. But with women, girl students, it's particularly a little bit more difficult to answer, because I know that they also have to consider other things.
Mm.
So maybe you can talk a little bit about that, because some of those who are going to watch this video will at least benefit from that. Saying, how do you pick those choices when you're getting out of college?
Um, Actually, it's difficult for me to answer it retrospectively as a woman. What would I would have done differently?
Uh,
Because I think I'll. So if you're as an undergrad, I think it's always a good idea to pick up work after undergrad,
mm,
right? I think so.
mm,
Like I went to IMA as a fresher, and I think that I did not get the import of what was being taught there as a fresher.
mm,
I mean, I'd never stepped into a business world, and to be able to listen to concepts like OB and accounting and all really went over me, went over my head.
mm,
So a couple of years of working would have done me a lot good before I'd gone to higher studies.
mm,
So I would strongly recommend that. In fact, I tell my son also this, that you must work for a couple of years before
mm,
you jump into further higher education, is what I think. You can relish and understand the higher education better if you work for a couple of years.
mm,
That would be my take. Now, the other thing in terms of startup versus big organization, I think you should go with the flow. There is no one answer to that. If you're getting a good company on campus which is giving you placement, why not? I mean, yeah, I think it's a great idea to join a good company. But don't be despondent if you don't get a campus job. There are a lot of jobs today, including startups, which you can definitely give a shot at. Wherever you are, I mean, whether if you're in a startup also, you should work as responsibly as you would in a big organization. And if you're in a big organization also, you should work as nimbly as you would be work in a startup.
mm,
So I think today the boundaries are merging, right? I mean, Microsoft is as entrepreneurial as any other small company. I mean, Hindustan Lever is as entrepreneurial as any other small company. So there are no fixed dynamics here versus there in the long run. So even for the big companies, they've reached there because they were quite nimble and very flexible. So I think you should just go with the flow. That would be my answer to that question.
mm,
Now, as a woman, would I have done anything differently? I'm not really sure, because you when you pass out, you want to definitely think about your career and give it your best shot. And unless you come from a traditional family where they're already talking about your marriage, and they want to see you settle down for some other reason, maybe some old parent in the family, or some strong reason like that,
mm,
I think today, youngsters, men and women, there is absolutely nothing that women cannot do that man can do. In
mm.
fact, only men cannot deliver babies, which women can. So,
Not yet, not yet.
not yet. But so as of now, there's really no difference. And the even the belief system in the classrooms and all, I find that it's very gender neutral.
Mm,
There is no difference between what boy can do versus girl can do.
mm,
So it really doesn't matter. You should pick your career, and you should not take decisions which you feel are a compromise, thinking you need to take that because you're a woman. See, it
understood.
should come from your heart, and it should come from a place of responsibility taking and strength, rather than a compromised way of looking at it. See, if you go with your instincts and work with the right ethic, I think you will be responsible enough to take the right calls at the right time. Like in my case, I did travel a lot, and I had a kid, and they were my old parents to look after. But took a series of decisions which were very family friendly at the right time. I mean, I moved from a corporate, I came back from XLRA, I shifted to PhD. All these were family centric decisions. So I think you should not worry about what is going to happen in the future and take suboptimal decisions. You
Mm,
take what is right for you at that point of time.
understood. Super. So one of our audience here is Mr. Madhavan.
Of
You
course,
should,
I know him very well because
uh,
he's also an IIM Ahmedabad alum. Hello,
yeah,
sir.
one of the first alumnus of IIM Ahmedabad, not just one of the first
Oh, okay.
after CEG. So, Mr. Madhavan, are you able to speak?
I think he's just gone off
Uh,
somewhere.
and nowadays it's on mute. Anyway, I think you need to. You've spoken to him before, obviously, because
Yeah.
he's an interesting
Hi,
person.
Hello, sir.
hi.
Good to see you here.
Rajeshwari, it's a very pleasant surprise to know that you are a fellow alumnus of CEG too.
Oh, you
Yes,
didn't
sir.
know that?
Same
Ah, you
here.
did not
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
No, I didn't know that. So that's what prompted me to join you, although I joined a little late. I wanted to hear you and see you on the screen after a long
Thank
time.
you so much, sir.
Thanks, Vish.
Yeah, yeah. So, Other questions? Let me ask people to see if other people have questions before we. I have a few more things to ask you, but I want to give chance to others to ask the question. Before you ask the question, I want everyone to just open your video so I can take a screenshot of all the participants, please. So just for a few minutes, I'll just take a screenshot and then I will. Lovely, 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 lovely. Okay, hold on a second.
Sorry, sir. I don't have any camera in my
You don't have a
PC.
camera?
Yeah.
Okay. Dr. Umadev, you don't have a camera too? Okay, no problem. So thank you so much. I think
Yeah,
any.
yeah, I don't have camera.
Okay, no issues, no issues.
Yeah.
Dr. Umadevi is a professor in CEG, and she's also the person who's director in the Atal Incubation Center, and she also runs a lot of other department, a lot of other centers of excellence in CEG as well. So
Excellent.
one of the most active and well-known academic from CEG, also a CEG alumnus herself as well.
Yeah, it's a founder director in Center for Multidisciplinary System Search. It's a new center. For the past 1 year, I'm just leading it.
Hello, ma'am. I'll catch up with you sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
have lately joined. Sorry, somehow I missed it.
No problem.
So Uma Devi is, I don't know Devi for a long time. She used to be part of the alumni association as well as a executive committee member. So anything that we need to get happen in CG, she's the right person to talk to. She is very well connected within both the administration as well as the faculty side of CEG. So she can take you to the right people to the right place in CEG if you need anything from her. So I find it very helpful to get to know her as well. Okay.
Yes.
Satyapriya, do you have any
Thanks,
questions?
Vish.
Thank you. Satyapriya, any questions from you? Yes,
Yeah,
Satyapriya.
I have posted there. Anyway, ma'am, this is regarding Encore. You were speaking about Encore, no?
Yeah.
So does this help mid-career women professionals with their consulting career? Because I've been into consulting for quite some time, about 5, 6 years now. I've been getting online projects and through some of my own networking. But can I take it to the next level? Can I get more strategic projects and network with the industry? Does Encore help with this?
Okay, great question, Satyapriya. Thanks. So, currently, the program that we are offering at Encore is focused on digital marketing. Okay, so if any of your consultancy project falls under that, it will definitely help you. In fact, the faculty who's teaching digital marketing is an IM faculty, and he also takes for a regular MBA students. Going forward, we plan to launch more such programs. We plan to launch one on product management, analytics, so on and so forth as we go forward. At which point of time, I think depending on which of them suits you, you could also evaluate taking them. So the minute you join Encore, you become a part of Great Lakes alumni network, and Great Lakes is known for its consulting careers that we give to students. So you will be in the zone of many thousands of consulting students or consulting alumni across the world. That way, you can definitely improve your strategic network in consulting area.
Sure. So how
Super.
do we join this? Any?
Okay, so I put a link in the chat box. If you can just
Okay.
copy it in your WhatsApp or something, you can open
Okay.
that and you can read more about it. And once
Sure.
you read, maybe you give me a call and we'll talk more about it, Satyapriya.
Sure.
So
Thank you.
this is what I want to do, Rajeshwari, is that more people will be interested in this particular thing.
Yeah,
So we'll follow up with you on that particular
sure.
thing and
Definitely.
publish some information so people can at least learn about it and then come back to you on
Yes.
that. Okay, Mr. Madhavan, you have a question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raji, I heard you talk about the academic flexibility and the freedom of work that you are experiencing, which is a great advantage and attraction. Would you say that is particularly true from a business school environment? I'm not too sure if a faculty member, say for example in CEG, would have similar freedom in terms of work hours or academic flexibility. Is it something that you could attribute largely because of the, uh, shall we say, the environment in a business school which fosters that kind of a freedom and liberal practice?
Yeah, thank you for the question, sir. I think you're largely right. I'm probably talking from a business school perspective.
Right.
So the freedom that I experience is from an MBA students teaching angle. I'm not really not sure this kind of freedom and flexibility would be there in an engineering college, for example, if I were a faculty. Of course, I don't have experience of teaching in an engineering college, but the B school environment is far more
Right.
open, and teachers have a lot of freedom. So to that
Right.
extent, I agree. You're right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Umadevi, do you have a question? You can unmute and ask the question, ma'am.
Just a clarification, ma'am. Since you talk about the digital marketing,
Yeah,
just I want to ask that is here. I am from civil background and transportation domain.
yeah.
So there we are the culprits, the as a transportation sector. So how the transport effect on the energy and the environmental degradation, and finally on the economics mainly I have been doing for the past 2.5 decades. So in the economy side, particularly the macro level and micro level economics, here even our MBA here, I think now the staff members are not much familiar. I think senior peoples were there, they were retired. So if any such people are there, means maybe we can have some collaborative work or
Mm.
project or MOUs like that we can have. So that only if anybody
Oh,
is
great.
in the side of macro.
Sure,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
We'll evaluate that. I'll
Yeah,
in fact come and
yeah,
meet you one of these days, and we can have a
yeah,
long term
sure.
chat on many things. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
please do.
I think both of you
Thank
will
you.
have a lot of common things. I
Yeah.
think
Right.
because
Yeah,
both of you are an academic setup, but you're also doing something beyond what you're doing in academic setup.
Yeah.
I think it'll
yeah,
benefit students in
Thank you so much. Yeah.
both institutions. I think. Yeah.
yeah. And
So
also we are planning one international seminar possibly in the 1.5 months. So there we want to have such experts to have maybe hybrid mode, maybe online lecture possibly they can have.
uh,
Sure.
Anyway, we'll talk about later. Thank you,
We'll
ma'am.
do that.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you. So I want to go to the question. There's somebody who asked a question about education with engineering. Whoever asked the question, can you please unmute and ask the question?
I think Mr. Narayan Ramakrishnan and Shiva Shankaran also have raised their
Yeah,
hands.
but I want to go to the question.
This is Radhachandran.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So I was asking this question from a perspective of someone who wants to start a marketing career from high school to college, right? I saw that you're from engineering background and you went into marketing, but some people started undergraduate in marketing or business. Just wanted your thoughts and perspective on the two options.
So your question has disappeared, sir. So
Oh,
I mean, the question is not visible here. So your
I,
point is whether we need to do straight away to undergrad marketing itself, or should we do engineering and come to marketing? Is that your question?
yeah, engineering or science or any domain specific degree and then come to
Yeah.
marketing. Yeah.
See, from an analytical standpoint, I think doing an undergrad in engineering is definitely helpful, right? Even for any management career for that matter, whether it's sales or marketing or supply chain, before embarking into MBA, an engineering degree makes you more comfortable from an analytical standpoint, as well as maybe some a numeric standpoint, so on and so forth. I think the level of complexity that you deal with as an engineer helps you when you become a manager, where there are far more stakeholders in the system. On the other hand, when you straight away go on to a BBA in marketing, I think that's what you're referring to by saying undergrad in marketing. I'm really not sure the analytical opportunities that you get. So I would be a little wary of someone who's done a BBA going on to MBA versus an engineer versus an MBA. So that is my thought. But I mean, I could be proved wrong because I feel the complexity of an engineering mind helps when you are a manager.
Yeah.
It's like multidisciplinary thing.
Yeah.
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 Thank you. Thank you so much.
Let me go to the Mr. Ramakrishnan. You had a question? Can you please ask the question?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah.
By the way, your three books are really very good. Basically, it is narrating your last 25 years, the first 10 years, maybe the next 10 years, like that. You have mapped down beautifully your life into those three books. And we have a book club. My wife is a part of that. They review a lot of books. So I'm going to give these three books to them.
Oh,
And
lovely.
they will definitely invite you to present lovely audience, about 150 people over Zoom, all Big Shot's wife and all, they attend that meeting. And the
Okay.
second one is doubt. I put there. Basically, I came across a product which is measures EMR radiation. Okay, this all this mobile laptops and TVs. So one boy is a startup. He came with me, and it's hardly 7 months. So by the way, I'm the president of this apartment. So he was telling me how it is important to measure this EMR radiation, what are the diseases that people get and all that. I want to take some inputs from you so that I can help that guy. What they do is basically they put that equipment and measure the EMR radiation in your house and tell you to change the TV or use the microwave to some other place. And they come out with some products like a protective paint, a protective film like a wire mesh, which will prevent the EMR coming from the outside, like the microwave antenna and all that. So I wanted some tips now how they can approach this because those guys are very good.
Sir,
How to
I
put
think
this in
that this is a
market?
very technical problem which I don't think I'm qualified to answer this.
See, no, Rajeshwari, my doubt is if I say, for example, say the Broke Bond or Kotas coffee, oh, I have to drink coffee, they simply buy. But this is people now, they continue to use mobile. Everybody has got one mobile, everybody has got one laptop, everybody has a desktop, a microwave, and this nobody measures all that. But the statistics you gave, and I have about 100 doctors in this apartment, they all feel it's a good product. But nobody is willing to invest that paint for one
Uh,
bedroom. So, so anyway, that definitely.
so I think the
So
relevant part of the question, Rajeshwari, is how do you take this to market? Maybe that's what your question.
Go
the
to
market,
market
that is true.
strategy. Yeah, yeah. Go to
Yeah,
market strategy. Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. So, I mean, we'll have to discuss that separately, sir. I mean, I would love to. This product, of course, looks
yeah,
very
I'll give you a
interesting.
contact to him. Yeah,
Yes, we will
that's
do
true.
that, sir. We'll have a chat
Yeah,
on this
definitely.
separately.
I think it's a
Very good.
go-to-market
Anyway,
question. That is what I think he's looking for. How to market this
now
idea, the
I should
product.
ask my daughter to write a book now. More or less similar story like you. She left Puma, Qualcomm, and okay. Thank you very much. All the best.
Not at
Thank
all.
you.
Sir, for your information, I've posted the book titles on the chat window.
Yeah, I have noted also. I have written. I'm very good in taking notes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks to
Thank you for your
CET
question. Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.
By the way,
Kumar,
Vish, actually, when we had the Golden Jubilee celebration in CG in 2011, was it
yeah,
in 20? So
yeah,
I presented my book actually. I was
I
one
know.
of the invited
I
speakers.
remember July 3rd, 2011. I remember the CGAM, first CGAM. I remember you
Oh,
coming and
yeah, of
presenting at the
course.
time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I remember that. July 3rd, 2011 is when you had the first CGAM. I think you presented on July 4th. I think 3rd or 4th you
Oh,
presented. I
wow.
remember.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that very clearly. Yeah, that's the first book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Kumara, you had a question?
Yeah, first of all, apologies. I didn't join the start, so I might have missed. But I'm very curious about the book, My Life, My Choice. Something that I'm also going through now. I'm almost 30, and I've worked for almost 7 years, did different things, and I moved to places also. I started my work in Ahmedabad, moved to US for masters, and then found different jobs, and I'm at different place now. So again, it seems like you're still like trying to look and see what is your career, what you want to get out of your career and stuff. That's the crisis I'm going through. I don't know if it is midlife or even before that. So I just started reading the Amazon thing, and then I found that okay, how people move to different professions. That's exactly the challenge, because you sort of feel like you are right now some sort of an identity for yourself. Oh, I'm an engineer, so I can't go and do something, not less technical, or like do something outside my profession, something like, oh, should I go do social entrepreneurship, or should I be like sticking to profit? At some time it feels like, oh, whatever I'm doing itself is same. That is sometimes a realization. So if I go search for something, I feel like, oh, I'm doing something already, that the same thing. I want to change the world, I'm already changing the world. So how do you navigate this? And I know better thing would be to read the book. um,
No, not
I,
really. I
I
mean,
still
I quite get what you're saying, Kumara Guru. See, one of the things I always encourage people is to experiment, right? You should not take the plunge overnight, and you should not take it suddenly. So even when I explored teaching, it is not that I became like a full time faculty in some business school or something. I started doing visiting faculty to test myself on whether I'll be a good teacher or not. Because see, having a passion is good, but unless you have proven, demonstrated strengths in your passion, you will not be happy, right? Because I've realized happiness is an intersection of passion and you're doing well at it. Both are important. Many people glorify passion at the cost of not laying enough emphasis on how well you'll be, how good you'll be, at it. In fact, my first book launch, Dr. Shashi Tharoor launched my book in Delhi, My Life, My Choice. And he said that one of the things that you should remember as an author is not advocate people to jump careers because of passion alone, right? It should be a combination of passion as well as what you're good at. And that's what gives you lasting happiness. So you try your hand at experimenting stuff in a slow manner. So if you want to become a social entrepreneur, be a part-time worker at an NGO, do voluntary community service during the weekends, right? Or if you want to join politics, go and just spend some time in the field with the a politician's office, so on and so forth. If you want to get back to music, in fact, some of my book respondents, they have given up their full-time careers and gone back to just pursuing Carnatic music because that's what their childhood passion was. So I think there is especially around midlife when we have more stakeholders in our life. It's not our decision alone, right? Because we have a family to take care, and their location is also important. Our time also needs to be given to them. So it's not like starting your career in your early 20s. The second time around, there are more stakeholders. So you have to think through it a lot more and do it in a manner where the disruption is the least for you and the others around you. So try it in a small way, see if it works. See, even as a faculty, I can tell you, while on the outside you may think that faculty is about teaching and research, I'm sure Dr. Uma Devi or other faculty members here will agree that there is quite a bit of administrative work too. There is a question paper setting and a question paper correction, which I hate. Attendance. There is a lot of invisible things about any career that you choose. And I follow the 70-30 ratio. Any work that you do, 70% will be the real work that you enjoy, and 30% will be nonsense or the junk. But you should be able to put up with the 30% in order to enjoy the 70%. There is no work that is 100% perfect, but the question is, are you enjoying 70% of it? So try, experiment, give yourself time, be honest, and then take it forward, Kumarapu. I hope that helps a bit.
Yep, yeah, definitely. Thank you so much.
So
Yeah.
on that topic, so that I can remind everybody, we are going to plan a webinar on mental health, and
Okay.
one of the items in the mental health that specifically is requested by our alumni is mental health during middle age.
Ah,
So a lot of people ask me the question that what does it take to be happy in middle age? And I said, I wish I know the answer. I'll be happy myself. But what I did do, because I have a degree in psychology and psychotherapy, I did some research, and this presentation we are planning sometime in late June, early July for the alumni is on the psychology of midlife, saying what things had to be considered, what choices people have, what does it mean to make the decision, why do people go through that, is it really a problem or is it just a thing, all that stuff you're going to cover in that. So I'll definitely invite all of you to join that presentation. We haven't fixed the date yet, but it will be fixed sometime in the next couple of weeks. We'll talk about midlife in that specifically. We're also talking about not only midlife but also psychology of NRIs as well. Now, what does NRI? Because a lot of these people who are asking the question are in the US, and they want to know: we are NRI. We came here to this country. We born in India. We came here. We settled here. We are neither here nor there. We don't know how to deal with our kids, for example. We don't know how to deal with ourselves when we get older. So I'm trying to answer all of those questions as much as I can with the psychology background to give some perspective. So I would definitely
Vish, you are
request.
doing so many interesting and important things, Vish.
Well, life is to be enjoyed, right? Life is
Yeah,
to be
yeah, sure.
enjoyed. So this learning, talking about learning, this is what I decided to go back to college after I finished my work, to go and do a degree in psychology and psychotherapy. After working for 35 years, going back to academic again, all the people who studied with me, students, were all at least half my age. And this psychology course in particular in Symbiosis University, there are 50 students, 49 women, and one guy.
Wow.
So interesting experiences. Anyway, any other questions? There is another question in the line I want to see if somebody wants who's asked a question. How to market a product which appears optional for the customer? Can some who asked the question? Can you introduce yourself and ask the question?
She answered that. That's what EMR radiation.
Ah, okay,
I
okay,
meant.
super,
Yes,
super,
thank you.
super, super, super. So I think I don't see any other questions in the line. We have any person who joined just now. Lavanya, do you have any questions for the guest, or do you want to say hello?
Yeah, hello, sir. Just now I have joined the call.
Okay. If you want to ask anything to Dr. Rajeshwari, you can ask. If you know what
For
the
everyone, Lavanya is one of the founding team of Sardi Web.
of.
Sardi Web.
Okay, oh, she's part of your team. Ah, I
Yeah.
see. Ah, okay, okay. So this is the team that Partha is heading, the company that he's heading actually, running a company to do that. So Lavanya is part of the team. Welcome, Lavanya.
Yeah,
Hi.
thank you, sir. Hi, ma'am.
Hi.
So any other questions that people want to ask in the line before we
Yeah, I have one question.
go ahead,
So,
Partha?
yeah, since I have a full-time job, I am running a company. I
Partha,
also
louder. I can't
I
hear
also
properly.
want to learn marketing and sales as an entrepreneur, right? So it's not convenient for me to
I can't hear Partha. Is it my this thing that's a problem or
I can hear him. Okay.
okay? Maybe there's some audio problem here.
S- I'll let me let him ask a question. I can repeat the question for you. That
Maybe you
helps.
come closer to the microphone if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Okay.
Yes, please. Yeah, go ahead.
My question is like, what's an alternative to learn about sales and marketing without getting an MBA degree?
Wish I think I have a there's a problem in my machine maybe.
So the
Can you
question is
just
asked.
repeat that question?
So the question he's asking is basically he's working a full time job and also an entrepreneur, and he
Okay.
says that I want to improve my sales and marketing skills, which is what I think I need
Okay.
more of. He's saying what is the alternate way of getting it without having to do an MBA?
Okay. Uh, so I mean, see, I think marketing is a lot about empathy. Okay. While there are, of course, jazzy, glamorous jargons that get thrown around, fundamentally, it's about getting into your customer's psyche and understanding how they look at things, how they, buy things, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of these online courses which are short courses, customer management, digital marketing, those kinds of things. If you can enroll on Udemy or Coursera, learn in LinkedIn learning, maybe a couple of those can help you, but nothing like doing things hands on. So if you don't want to do it, see, MBA helps you structure your thoughts and put a framework, etc., which is also useful. But if you feel that is not something that you want to invest in right now, some of these online courses can give you a start, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Excellent. Any other questions, people? It was an interesting session, Rajeshwari. I learned quite a few things today. I want to follow up on a few things with you also.
Sure, sure.
So one
My
last
pleasure.
question.
Absolutely my pleasure.
One last question I want to ask you is that people ask if they can reach out to you. So I give the choice to my guests to see how they want to be reached at. Either it be email, phone, LinkedIn, etc. LinkedIn profile is already there in the invitation, so people can reach through LinkedIn. But in addition
I'm
to that,
bad at LinkedIn management, so I think I'll prefer an email. Whoever is,
ah, if you can just put your email in the
I'll
chat
do
box,
that. Yeah.
then
So
we
I'm
can
just
publish
putting my
that also.
email there.
Yeah,
So that is better.
yeah.
That's my email.
Rajeshwari@gmail.com. Okay, super. So that's because people ask me how to reach out. Because a lot of people, after watching the video, want to reach out to you, and we
Sure.
don't have any facility today in the YouTube channel to be able to reach out to the guest. They can only reach
Oh,
out to me. They can reach out to the guest. We are
okay.
trying to improve our portal to be able to have people reach out to the guest directly, but we are not
Right.
there yet. Our technology budget is not large enough to do experimentation at this point.
Okay. Sure.
CG Connect is completely run by us. There is no external thing for that. You're not getting any contribution from anyone else, but we're trying to improve on that. So two things I want to close with you. One is thank you so much for your time for coming and talking to us. A lot of interesting topics. And Encore is something that I want to follow up and see how we can get it in front of all the CEG alumni who need to listen to
Yeah.
that. The second thing is on the CEG Field Insights about your book
Yeah.
publishing. I want to see if we can put you as a speaker for the expertise on book publishing also.
Yeah.
And third thing is that any further questions that anybody has, people might ask questions about that. I'll ask them to direct you to your email
Sure.
and or LinkedIn, whichever is they prefer to do it with.
Great.
And this encore thing, we'll set up a meeting sometime and we'll discuss
Yes,
that. And similarly, I think should go and meet Dr. Umadevi also. I think you guys will have a lot of common things to do.
we
I
will.
think
We will.
I
Yeah.
feel that there are a lot of opportunities to do things together, and then we'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank
Thank
you
you
so much
so
for your
much,
time.
Vish. Really wonderful. I think it made me relive my journey for the last couple of decades. And I mean, you're doing some amazing work, Vish. So we'll stay
Thank
connected and really
thank you.
see how we can work more together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
all.
Thank
Good
you.
night,
Thank
people.
you. Yeah, thanks.